If they marketed the main plot, I would probably have said no or pass for this series.
โหดไม่เป็นไร
Tell me how many locations from other BL series were you able to spot in this show? Because I saw at least three. Comment down below how many you saw. So, the series. For the most part of the show, we saw the main couple, Mick and Top, they're the actors, in different stories as different characters. And if you've only seen the synopsis like me, you would think that this is a soulmate fantasy series. Spoiler, it's not. I also checked the pilot and the teaser, and it's definitely a bit of misdirection. Am I disappointed? Not really, because like I said, I would have passed on the show if they discussed early on what the main plot was about, or if they disclosed what the main plot was about. The actors are really good, and the chemistry really carries a lot for this show. The popsicles and the carrots also did quite a lot for me, if I'm being honest. We start with episode 1 to the concept of soulmates, which is the first misdirection, and they definitely put this in episode 1 deliberately because episode 1 is going to misdirect you that the show is about something else that it's really not. What in the color rush is going on? Is this some color rush knockoff? The script and storyline for the first episode left much to be desired, unfortunately. The dialogue and the acting is so inorganic that if I'm going to be rating this series based on this episode alone, I would have dropped it after episode 1, or actually midway episode 1, because episode 1 actually left an impression of a Color Rush knockoff. If you're not familiar with Color Rush, it's a Korean fantasy BL. It has two seasons, and we are pretending that season two never happened. So in this universe, you see your soulmate in colors when it rains. I think everyone else is in black and white, and I think people see normally when it's not raining. At least I assume they will. Otherwise, it's just always black and white for everyone until you meet your soulmate. So we have Sun, who's obsessed with finding his soulmate, and Dole, who wants to fall in love naturally and does not take stack on meeting your soulmate. Sun is persistent, if nothing else, and eventually got Dole to fall for him. If that's the whole show, it'll be so boring. Good thing that's just episode 1, because the only thing I got from episode 1 is that Mick is so pretty. Episode 2 got a boss and employee romance, which is not my favorite trope. The switch from episode 1 to episode 2 was so jarring, mainly because Mick and Top's character are so different from the first one. Top's character here, Prin is the boss, is serious and mature, while Mick's character first is the naive, impressionable one. There's no trace at all of their characters from episode 1, which just shows they're good actors. The script is also better than episode 1. I guess my only question is, why do have beers in an office setting other than the plot needs it? Also, in episode 2, we have a cameo of the movie rental store from Absolute Zero. If you haven't seen Absolute Zero, you're missing out on a lot of things. That's my favorite show. This is also the first episode they gave a hint of what exactly is going on in this series. Episode 3 and 4 are one continuous story. I honestly don't know which part of this is giving X a hard on, because honestly, this is just an ordinary shirt. Mate, what the hell is going on? And it's going to remind you of his Coming to Me, Sing to an Oms series, because is that not the same cemetery? This time we have X and Numping. Top owned every outfit in this one because his character Numping is such a fashion icon. And X is his stalker pretty much. Numping visits his parents' grave every year, and I think X saw him there a few years back, and X gets into the habit of checking him out every year and bringing offers to the parents' grave, which is honestly Very creepy. X finally got his opportunity to approach Namping, but unfortunately, their romance is not going to last because the cemetery is a foreshadowing of things to come. Believe me, this is not a happy ending story, which I kind of expect. They put enough clues that there's something wrong. We actually have a side couple for this. Ex's brother Jay and a customer whose car is always broken, who's always broken for one reason or another. But my greatest beef with this episode is X's truck. That's a very expensive truck for a mechanic, or am I being classist? I don't know. It's the same beef that I have with Om's character in Kidnap, who's supposed to be struggling but has a very expensive big bike and owns two big houses. Like, what the hell? One scene that really stood out for me, other than the parts that totally destroyed my day, was the early part of episode 4. X proving just how creepy he is. The lust on his face for a moment there, I thought he was going to eat Namping right there and then. End of episode 4, we finally got introduced to Pan and Din, although In's name was not mentioned yet, I don't think. At this point, I already had a suspicion of where they were going because my online friend said the plot unravels towards the end of the series. And I'll just have to hang in there. But before that, we have one more couple who I think is my favorite because I also really enjoyed episode 2, the boss and employee one. That was really good. But I think episode 5 and 6 are my favorite one. These two episodes have the plumber scene, and which set expectations because I've seen this similar scene somewhere out there that I'm not going to mention, and I was pretty sure I know where this is going, but that's not where it ended. So some carrots and popsicles were violated, and I feel bad for them. We saw some handcuffs and maid uniform um that never really amounted to anything, which is really, really sad. And I figure out the plot halfway through episode 6, I think. Episode 5 and 6 is about Cian, played by Tops. Um, episode 5 and 6 is about Cian, played by Top, a musician who became a recluse after his partner passed away, and Green, played by Mick, found him as a guitar tutor for his brother Blue. At some point, they started sleeping together, and Blue somehow just moved in. At which point in the series he moved in, who the fucking knows at this point? This is the perils of having just an episode or two per story. We lose details, unfortunately. Even though they're sleeping together, they're not exactly opening up to each other. Cian is not opening to what happened with James, his last boyfriend, and Blue is hiding from someone. They made it seem like his friend Pukan was some type of love interest, which only lasted for a few minutes, honestly. And I'm thinking Mick just spent the last few episodes lusting after Top, which is fair enough. I understand. Going back, Blue and Cian's story is probably my favorite because they're so playful and easy to watch. Top and Mick's character really shine out in these two episodes. And before the end of episode 6, they revealed the real plot of the show. These are two actors, Pon and In. They're an on screen couple, and the last few episodes are their shows. They got together during episode 3 and 4, Namping and X's story, and they're having relationship problems. And that's what episode 7 and 8 are about. So In and Pon have different character goals, and they think that the other is being selfish. Their issues are heightened by the fact that they work together as an on screen couple, and both being together and breaking up will have consequences to their careers, which is the downside of dating a coworker. That's why you don't do it. It's a career nightmare. This is so not based on any personal experience whatsoever. I'm just saying, don't do it. Pond would like to quit acting and be a director, while In would like to continue being an actor. And the problem and isn't exactly brimming with confidence about going solo without Pond by his side. I guess he just assumed Pond was in it for the long haul. Why they did not set proper expectations when they got together? Well, because they're in a BL series. That's why. And open communication is practically illegal in this show. So, what are they supposed to do? Here's the thing, the writing seems to frame Pan as the one being selfish, but I feel like it's in that was mainly the issue. Yes, Pan should have communicated his plans to In, not only because they're in a relationship, but because they closely work together and their careers tied. But the moment In learned, he acted like a total brat. Yes, it stings to be kept in the dark, but man, step up and have a fucking conversation. But like I said, it's a BL series, and the conversation is just too much to ask. To the ending. This is the time jump that I can agree with. Generally, fucking hate time jumps. But I'm not mad about this one. They were not on the same page, not in the same mindset at the time. Emotions are heightened. And stepping back from that, finding their path on their own is the right thing to do. So I definitely appreciate the ending. I respect that. Thank you. Maturity in my BL series. Where have you been all this time, right? Let's talk about the style because people drop the show left and right, and honestly, I get it. Top and Mink aren't some beloved duo where audiences will just blindly follow them into whatever mess is airing. The whole different characters every few episodes concept is a gamble. This concept, ignoring the overarching plot, is so high risk. Audiences will be like, who are they again? Or what's happening now? Jumping between characters and stories is not ideal. And honestly, it's kind of a whiplash. Every episode is a reset. How much can we actually care? If you're gonna rip my heart out, at least give me time to feel it. Which is an issue with the transition from episode 4 with X and Dumping to episode 5 with Cyan and Blue. If it's about them, give us more them, I think. Changing characters might cut into the deep emotional arcs that we live for. Episode 1 and 2, but especially episode 1 is so shallow. If the couple doesn't have one solid storyline tying it all together, some fans might check out emotionally, and with the main plot not being revealed until episode 6, you've already lost quite a few viewers. No emotional depth, no connection, nothing to sink your teeth into. Not every actor can also switch gears like that and sell it. But Top and Mick, honestly, they delivered. This was basically a talent showcase, and they nailed it. Versatility is amazing. There's a risk of them spreading too thin and leaving us unimpressed, and I'm so happy for them. This format is so cool for mixing genres, catering to different vibes. If this is just totally about the Y series plot, actors, hard pass. We've had enough of that, and I'm not a fan of the Y actor plots or idol tropes in general. We just had too much of that a few years back, and I'm so over it. And hey, shout out to my online friends who bullied me into finishing this. I was ready to top out during episode 1, but we made it, and I'm so glad I stuck around. So, what's the verdict? I think this series managed to pull it off pretty well. Top and Mick absolutely brought their A game. They showcased impressive range, nailed the chemistry in every dynamic, and proved that they can carry a series. Even with the format that's not easy to execute, I felt rewarded for sticking around until the end, mainly because Mick with his earrings is so pretty. This turned out to be a ride worth taking. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. Did you watch Every You, Every Me? Did you finish it? Please take a moment to subscribe and give this video a like. Or drink your water. Stay hydrated. Bye bye.